Welcome back to a Stoic Plays, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Marcus Aurelius, and this is Perisno, a mod for Mount and Blade Warband. And this is now the 5th episode of a Stoic Plays, or actually the 4th. I can't count. And I've already had 2 Mount and Blade Warband mods. Well, the whole purpose of this series is to showcase the games that I am playing at any given time. And what I've been playing lately has been mods for Mount and Blade Warband, and this is a really good one. Once again, I have the music turned off because they use a lot of copyrighted music, but I am, let us find me, I am Galerian Deeproot. Yes, I finally got a character who was not named Marcus Aurelius. Galerian is an elf, and he is an elf who was in the nobility, but his family was murdered, and so now he is going around the world as a mercenary, looking for something to do to kind of kill the pain, and also perhaps revenge, although there is no revenge because he doesn't know who did it. I mean, he might know who did it, maybe it's someone, but obviously this game doesn't factor that in. So Perisno is a very unique and interesting mod. It's kind of like the omelet of the Mount and Blade world. It's a whole bunch of stuff from a whole bunch of different areas and other mods thrown together, and it tastes great. So what we've got, let me show you the different factions. Well, that's actually not what I want to do. I'd rather actually show you the troop trees. Okay, so you have factions that are based on a bunch of random things. There's the Kingdom of Taleworlds, which are your basic infantry-focused medieval-type nation. And I actually really like these guys because all of their troops have on the kind of armor that puts your heraldry on them. I wish more units in this game did that, because once you have heraldry, it's cool to see your armies fighting with it. The Tolrandians, unfortunately, are very close to the elves, and so they're the people that I am murdering the most often. Then you have the Reich des Drachen, which are, I don't know what you would say, maybe a mixture of the Teutonic Knights and the Holy Roman Empire, but also with a little bit of Viking thrown in there as well, because they wear like the furs, and their horses are these really woolly kind of horses, but they have amazing cavalry here with these horned helmets guys. They're really tough and cool. There's Drahara, which is your typical Middle Eastern desert type nation with your camels and almost like Sassanid Persian or even like Ayyubid Egyptian type troops. Horse archers, of course. Then you have Macavia, which is another kind of, I guess, Middle European knightly kind of thing. They're very similar actually to Tolrania, but they're a bit more heavily armored, I guess. Maybe a bit of a Scottish influence in the tartan there. Then you have the Elves, the Redwood Nation, and they utilize a lot of stuff I would assume that the people who made this mod got from like a Lord of the Rings mod. If you look at the helmets, and the Redwood Knights definitely wear the elven armor from Lord of the Rings. Now I'm sure the mod makers incorporated a whole bunch of their own assets into this mod, graphical and otherwise, but they also utilize, I think, a lot from other places. The elves are a beastly nation because they all have bows and they're amazing with them. They're like Legolas with their bows. They're like laser guided. So for the first few castles that I took, I was able to take the castle with very minimal casualties just by lining up my archers outside and letting them pot shot people off the walls, which they were incredibly effective as. I don't look forward to when I declare my own kingdom and go against these guys, because I don't know how I'm ever going to take their castles. I mean, even with equally good troops, heavily armored troops, they're overpowered in terms of how accurate and deadly they are with their bows. Even the basic scouts, they're amazing. Then there's the Hakan Empire, which is quite interesting. It's kind of a little mix of the Roman Empire in that you have legionnaires, but then you also have like medieval type knights, and I don't see them here on the troop tree, but I thought they had elephants as well, elephant cavalry. There might be someone else, but they're another kind of Romanesque force, although they also have spearmen and different types of things, sharpshooters. Then there's the Realm of the Falcon. These guys are the only guys that in the early game give the elves any trouble. And because they can basically whoop any elven army on the field of battle, in that they are all cavalry all the time. And they're ridiculously well armored and ridiculously tough. Even these light Renweirds or whatever can take down armies of elite elves, let alone these higher end guys. And what's otherwise unique about this faction is they're kind of separated from all the other factions, which are all kind of clumped together, and then these guys are off on their own. So they're not in a lot of danger. Especially the elves haven't been able to take anything from them so far in this campaign, and we're currently on day 185 or something like that. Then there's the Valahur clan, which are the Nordic Viking full-bore nation. You start with thralls, and then you go all the way to huskarls, and you could see the influence there, axe wielders. Then there's the Kaikoth Confederation. I want to say they're dwarves. Obviously, they're really small. They have these cool cavalry things. I have not actually seen any Kaikoth so far in this 185 days of this campaign because they're off kind of in the corner by themselves too. So I frankly haven't even seen them at all in the game. This is the first I've seen really of their units. And then there's the Zan dynasty. They don't exist in the world, but they show up later. They're like kind of Japan, I guess. They have kind of a samurai look about them, but not quite. It's really weird. Maybe a mix of Mongolian and Japanese. I'm not. But their rulers are what make me think that they're Japanese because they have names like Tokugawa. And so that's our nation. But that's not even the coolest thing. One thing really great about this mod is that there are... Oops, no. Whoa, shit, no. Stop. Is that there are a ton of neutral units that you can't necessarily recruit in a village, but you can find them in the taverns, or the number one way of getting troops in this mod, have I found, is what makes this mod special is there is a ton of roving enemy armies, and they are tough. This is one of the toughest mods I've played, especially when you first get started, because you're just this little guy running around with 10 troops, and you're attacked by 100 elite cavalry, just right off the bat. They're just everywhere. But once you're at a point where you're strong enough to routinely beat them, you can recruit a lot of them because neutral armies fight each other. So for example, you might have an army of 100 Eagle Knights, which are this ultimate like good faction, and you might have 100 Ankar's Seducers, which are like an evil faction. And so whoever wins that battle will take a whole lot of the other one as prisoners. So then you stumble upon them, you defeat them, and you can recruit from all those prisoners. One thing this game really does incredibly well is it incorporates female warriors into the ranks. Like, for example, let's see if I have some. Well, you can see the Maiden of War here, which is an upgrade of the Sword Maiden. And then you have the Sword Sister, which is more of a archer cavalry, and they upgrade into the Vixen Rider. And I know Vixen, it's a charged term, but as you can see, they're dressed adequately. There's only one kind of fantasy-esque armored female unit, and that is the Ankar's Virgin. I don't know if I have any of them, but here's an Ankar's Ranger. They're basically a wandering band of female-only warriors. These are the cavalry ones. They ride tigers. And there's also the Ankar Warrior and the Ankar Virgin. Doesn't look like I have any of them. Oh, there's Ankar Warriors. So here's the Warrior version. Oh, and here's the Virgin. Okay. So yeah, this person right here is pretty much the only kind of chainmail bikini type young teenage boys dream fantasy-esque unit. But other than that, they really arm the women appropriately, and they're amazing troops. And they probably have the longest upgrade tree of anything I've ever seen in Mount and Blade. It's huge. It's like 7 or 8 different levels of upgrade, where you start with a peasant woman, and then you can go to a camp defender, or you could choose a femme fatale, which is like a higher level. You can get up into markswoman, which are the highest ranged version. They really incorporate women into the mod a lot, and I think that's really cool. There's also, again, 2 main factions vying against each other. There's the Eagle Knights, which I'm sure I have one, Knight of the Eagle. That's these guys. They're kind of supposedly the good faction. And then there's the Demon Priests, who are the evil faction. And you can only get these guys, again, from beating the other one in battle and taking them as prisoners and then hiring them on. And there's other random units like Vanquishers, Marauders, Mercenary Lancers. There's tons of units that don't belong to any nation, but that anybody can recruit. As you can see here, I have pretty much all of the companions. I've learned an awful lot about this game playing these many different mods, and so I'm much better now. Let me tell you about what I did. I started off in the Redwood Kingdom in the city of Forniron, or Forniron. And again, it's so tough to get started. So what I did was I joined up right away with the queen of the nation. I'll show her to you. Queen Arlena. And I joined up with her and fought as a soldier by her side. And the first thing she did was she ran up north to the lands of the Falcon, which is... Let me find those for you. Here. So it's actually, I guess, I don't know what direction is what here, but there they are. So you can see how I said they were kind of surrounded by empty space. And she got killed. I got captured. She got captured. I escaped first. So I went back and I joined up with her daughter, the princess, to fight for her. And the princess is a unique person because she is a lord, but she is also a lady. And she is marriageable. So after fighting for her for a while and getting up to about level 10, I got to marry her because we had such a good positive level of affection for each other after fighting all those battles. And so she is now my wife, Princess Lithredil. That's her name, yeah. So you can see I'm her husband. But she's a lord in her own right, though. She owns a castle and a village of her own, which she owns. I can go to them and take stuff from the garrison, but I can't control them in that sense. And I have earned 2 castles, Dirchios and Senazgda, and the city of Galway. So that's my main center of power. That's here, Galway, and then there's Dirchios Castle and Senazgda Castle. Now, I didn't start out with this. When you marry the princess, you have to join the nation. So at that point, I became a vassal of the nation, but I didn't have any fiefs. And it was kind of funny. I just have a story to tell you. Back when I played this game, maybe about a year ago, about the time that I was playing Anno 1257 on my channel, there was it's a much earlier version, and there were a lot of bugs. And one of the bugs was I married the princess, and I walked down in the wedding dress. My male character walked down in the wedding dress while she stood there in her armor, and it was pretty hilarious. They fixed that in this version, and so if you marry the princess, she does walk down in the dress. However, I have a lot of questions because I don't know, for example, if I secede from the Elven Kingdom and form my own kingdom, she may not come with me, since she is a lord who owns lands, and she's very fond of her mother, the queen. So I may have to, beat my own wife in combat and put her in my dungeon, which is not the probably best and healthiest marriage I can think of. But her fief is here, Ibdalis Castle, and she just recently got Yelibe. So I was first awarded the castle of Viencourt, which I conquered myself. And then I conquered Galway and was ordered that. And then I conquered Senazgda and was given that. Now, I know not to press my luck, so at that point I stopped requesting things. But I did eventually conquer Dirchios, and my plan was to have it given to my wife so that she could move her household from here to here, because if she does join me in my kingdom, she's going to be stuck here surrounded by the elves in their heartland. So I wanted to move her up here. However, the queen would not give it to her. The queen told me that she had been given enough already, which was kind of hilarious because at the time she only had 1 castle. So I was in kind of a position. So what I next did was I figured, well, if my wife can't have it, then I want it because it's close. I want to keep my kingdom close together. So you can trade in this mod. The queen herself gave this castle to herself. So I said, hey, I'll trade you Viencourt for Dirchios. And because she had a positive opinion of me, she said yes. It's actually rather inexpensive. So that's where we're at right now. This is my general area. And eventually, when I'm stronger, I'm going to declare war. Once I figure out what my wife will actually do, I'm trying to actually raise my opinion with her so it's higher than her mother's. But that's going to be hard to do because her opinion of her mother is like 78, and that's really hard to get to. One thing you can do to get lords to like you is give them gifts, but you can't give your wife a gift, which is paradoxical, but that's how it works. So the only way that I can make her like me more is by finding out every time a fief is awarded, finding out who she wants to get it, and then telling her that I support her choice. Which doesn't happen a lot, especially when I'm not going around conquering. Oh, I've got my own little patrol set up too that's patrolling my lands. Yet another reason to keep them close. But this mod is just incredibly well done. The graphics are fantastic. As I mentioned before, I love the unit variety. And I'm doing okay. I'm keeping... This is not the money I have. I have about 150,000 in my treasury. Actually, I probably don't. I think it's probably down to 80 now. I amassed a huge fortune, but it's costing me about 16 to 20,000 a week to maintain my troops, which are all, for the most part, cavalry, and elite cavalry at that. We can pretty much take on anything and win, but it's tough. Now, another thing I love about this mod is that you can farm gold and experience. Because if you go to a city, I don't know if necessarily you have to own it. There's another great female unit, that's the Femme Fatale. And again, the name is a little cheesy, but she is covered head to toe. You can go to your bartender, and you can say, do you have any larger bounties for me? Now, this bounty will be you go to a village and kill one person, and I hate those missions because it makes the village hate you. But what this one does is it spawns a huge army. So a group of marauding bandits. I'll do it. So then you leave, and there they are. Marauding bandits. 224 units. So let's go take them on. Not only do you get all the prisoners and experience, but you also... Oh, look at my patrol took them on. That's probably not a good idea. I'll probably lose some of them. Or no, it's not my patrol. It's Count Regal. He's another guy. So, and you also get money for defeating them, like you solved the quest. Now, here's me, Galarian. Let's everybody charge, except for my support guys, who are going to stay back. I'm wearing, basically, elven armor from Lord of the Rings. The helmet and everything. This cool black cloak. And then this is my sigil. The white tree on a green field with the roots. The roots go deep. There's better shields than this, but I have it because I like to show off my heraldry. And then these are my support guys. Some of them are actually pretty cool, so it's kind of sad to keep them behind. Like this fellow, Arcanus. He has a flaming sword, so he's really neat, but he's also my best healer and best everything. He's my most intelligent companion, so I can't really utilize him in the battle. We are insanely powerful, but expensive for all that. Oops, I have my bow. So right now I have a Nodachi. I think that's what it is. I used to have a Final Fantasy type sword, but it was slower than this. One thing this mod changes a lot of is that the armor of the troops is a lot higher. So even at a high level like me with a top level weapon, one charge and swing at an enemy will not down them. You have to really plug away at them for a long time, and so battles last a bit longer. Where's that big blob of red? There it is. But my units pretty much take care of themselves, and our surgery skill is high enough that I rarely ever see a lot of casualties. Where are all these? Oh, there's one. Okay. So here's the main group here. So you see that? I did 98 damage, and it didn't even do anything. It's very difficult. And they block a lot, too, I notice. So the key for me, because I'm just not, I don't know, this is my playstyle, is I like a long sword. Because shorter weapons, I'm not very good at hitting anything with. But I love my armor, I love my shield. So even if there's better stuff out there, I'm going to stick with this, because I just think I look super cool. And sometimes it really is just about how you look. But so... And so this is a completely spawned army, and you can do this all the time. You can just do this multiple times. And it's the only way I've found when we're not at war to generate enough cash to pay for my fiefs and my troops. It's just by continuing taking these guys. First of all, prisoners. If I get a full thing of prisoners, it'll get me about 15,000. That's one of my Elven troops, the Shadow Riders. They're actually better, in my opinion, than the next upgrade up, which is the Sentinels. Let's see, who's that? Is that one of mine? Yeah, that's a Eagle Retainer. So that's the level down of the Eagle Knights. That's what I'll do for the rest of the battle. I'll go around and show my people to you. That's Perisno Cavalry, just regular kind of knight. Hey man, leave my guy alone. Another Shadow Rider. I think that might be a Sentinel. Let me take a look. No, that's a Duskfall Rider. And that armor is pretty prevalent. Like, a lot of my companions wear that armor because it's pretty high level and good. See, here's what I like about the Tolranians, right? See how... Well, that's actually one of my sidekicks, but see how my heraldry is on his shirt? I love that. And I'm running away from the battle now. Let's see. What other men do I have? Oh, battle's over. So now that everybody's staying still, let's see what we have here. Let's see if I can find a Demon Priest. So there's another Duskfall Rider. They have those shields from Lord of the Rings, or Gondor, the Gondor shield. There's a Knight of Doom, who has that, looks like a Tommy gun crossbow, which is really cool. That horse armor is great. Here's one of the demon worshippers. And it's funny, because my army is good guys, bad guys, all cobbled together, and they all have excellent morale. There's one of my companions, Ulden. There's Mercenary Shock Cavalry. Look at how beautiful these are. There's a Camel Rider. He's fighting for me, too. My people are a whole mix of... Oh, and there's an NPC in this mod called Marcus, which I think is pretty awesome, too. Mercenary Cavalry. I want to find you one of the Ankar's troops, but I don't really keep them with me much because I only have cavalry armies. I was thinking if I could ever get enough of those Ankar riders, though, the Tiger Riders, that I would put them as a... Look at you. That I would put... I didn't do that. That just happened automatically. Weird. I only got 4 wounded guys, so I didn't lose one guy in that whole thing. And there was another group. So we'll go after that. I'll have everybody just charge this time, why not? My support guys aren't going to get killed by 40 guys. But this is just a fantastic... And the music is good. The reason I'm not playing it is because it's music you've heard before. It's like copyrighted, excellent, epic music, and it makes the mod so much more fun to play, but I'm not going to have YouTube. Wow, I just whacked him on the head with a sword, and he survived that. That's amazing. Okay. When you first start your character, you get to pick a special gift. Now, that could be a bow, and I picked a armor. So I started off with special armor, and nice. And it came with a tiger. I got to ride a tiger. And the tiger was super fast and had a great charge bonus, but I prefer this sword, A, because it has green on it, which matches my heraldry, but B, because it's much more sturdy. The tiger did not have a lot of hit points. I love seeing my heraldry. I might just get a bunch of Tolranian guys just so I can have an army that has my heraldry, because I think it's so cool. This is how it goes, basically. We pretty much slaughter everything. Another cool thing about this mod is it generates large armies that have a special leader, like the Queen of the Amazons, or this guy called Nox Voculi or something, who's this, like, evil dude. And when you defeat them, again, you get tons of money from prisoners and loot, but they also pay you off. They say, oh, please spare me, and you say, okay, I'll spare you, but I'm taking your treasury, and you get, like, 10,000 gold from them. So it's fun to find them and take them down, but you have to be really strong. Oh, I'm glad you're happy, Count Regal. He likes me now. It's lovely. Let's see. So you get all these... There's 2 Knights of Doom. They'll be worth some good money. And 5 Marauders. I'll let my hero select. And then just pick up all the loot. Oh, I'm already full of loot. Oh, yeah. Here's my Final Fantasy sword. The Tempered Heavy Zan sword. See how wide it is? Then I have 2 Assassin swords, which are almost as good as the Nodachi. They're worth more, but they do 4 less attack. What makes them good is their speed rating of 112 compared to the speed rating here of 96. And this is what sucked about this sword. It has a higher, well, it has an equal attack rating, but its speed rating of only 92. So this is longer, faster, and does the same amount of damage, which is why I traded up. This one is much faster, but not quite as long, and it does less damage. Sorry, folks, it looks like we had a crash at the end of that battle, which is very strange because this mod is incredibly stable. I haven't had any problems with it whatsoever, and I probably put like 20 hours into it. So it must be something about my recording software, but even that's weird because I recorded the whole Southeast Asian mod, no problem, and I recorded 26 minutes of this with no problem, so I don't know why all of a sudden it would stop failing. I hope it's not just some error in the mod that I caused accidentally that's not going to go away. I would hate to have this campaign, which I'm enjoying so much, ended due to a bug, especially because my Southeast Asian campaign, and I keep saying Southeast Asian instead of the name of it because I don't want to pronounce it wrong and get in trouble for denigrating Thai culture, but it ended because of a bug. Basically, my wife, if you recall, was fighting alongside me in battle, and she got knocked out when a castle was taken over, and then she appeared randomly in another castle far away that she had never been in before, and I couldn't communicate with her. She was still shown as my wife, but she was no longer my minister, but I couldn't appoint a new minister, so everything just kind of went to crap. Which made me really sad, because I really enjoyed that one too, and I'd hate to lose this game due to a bug as well. But one thing I want to say before I leave is that these guys here are Tulranians, and I mentioned I really like the Tulranians because their heraldry is listed on their armor, and what makes that really neat is that they all have such varied heraldry. You have this guy with the red and the gold lion, the gold skulls and cross on purple, some guy riding a horse on black. So what's funny is you never know what you're going to get. If you attack one of these guys, his whole army will be like this teal color, and his whole army will be yellow, and his whole army will be black. So they look different. And if there's something like a castle siege where a bunch of lords are working together, it's just really cool how varied the units are. And I wish more mods and the game itself would take advantage more of that. And that's where we're going to end here because I'm afraid it's going to crash again. But I really enjoy this mod. I highly recommend you check it out. It's called Perisno, and it's just very well put together, and it takes a lot of very disparate elements and makes them into one big whole, which is really awesome. A lot of scripted events. They have special quests, and I gave up on this mod about a year ago because I thought they weren't going to update it. There was some talk in the forums about how the team fell apart. But over the past couple months, it's probably been updated in my Steam more than any other mod. It seems like every week there's a new update. So they're back on it, and it's a great mod, so I highly recommend you check it out. Once again, I am Marcus Aurelius. This is a Stoic Plays. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one.